We are about halfway through the chapter on creating a sheet metal part. Let's pause for a few minutes and have some fun. We want to take the part that you see on the screen, which is called hem and can be found in your working files folder, and we want to add a few more flanges to it, an extrude cut, and a hem. This is what we are working towards. Notice we have 2 flanges here, and notice how the profile of this flange has been changed from the normal rectangular flange. We added a couple hole wizard features, along with an extrude cut down the middle of the part, and a couple flanges over here with slotted features. We also have a new flange here with a closed hem. So let's get started. We are going to begin with this flange here. Going to the sheet metal ribbon, I am going to select edge flange. It's prompting me for an edge. Select this leading edge. And the preview is a flange extending the entire length of this edge. How do we modify the profile of that flange? Well, go back to the property manager and we select Edit Flange Profile. If you recall, this box appears saying the sketch is valid. This also allows us to change the sketch profile. So I'm going to grab this line here, stretch it down to a smaller size, zoom up in this area. I'm going to select this face so we can view normal to the sketch, and we'll zoom up on the new flange. And let's have some fun modifying it. I'm going to add a couple lines, one here, and one extending off in this direction, and another couple lines on this corner. Let's use the trim feature and trim away a few of these lines. A lot of people don't realize within the edge flange command that you can modify the profile to this extent. Now let's add a couple smart dimensions. We'll begin with the outside dimensions. We'll set this to 18. And this one here we'll put at 20. Let's set this to distance of 8. This one to 2. And now going to the back corner, let's put this leg at 10. And this one at 3. And there we go. I am going to pull this window back up on the screen. And if you recall, if I click Finish, it's going to take me out of the Edge Flange Property Manager. However, if I want to go back to the Property Manager and make other changes, I need to select back. So that is what I am going to do. Property Manager opens. I want this to be a 90-degree flange. Material inside. Everything looks good. I'm going to close out of this edge flange. And there we go. Now, let's add a couple hole wizards. If you notice in the sheet metal ribbon, we do have a feature called Simple Hole. However, the 2 features I want in here are a 3.5mm clearance hole and an M3 socket countersunk head cap screw. So if we do take a quick look at the simple hole and we select a face for that simple hole, notice in the property manager we can only specify a hole diameter. So not the detail I am looking for. So let's close out of this. Where do we find Hole Wizard? Well, that's back in the Features ribbon. So I'm going to click Features and Hole Wizard. The very first one we're going to start with is the M3 countersunk socket head cap screw. So select countersink and symmetric socket counterhead cap screw, M3. And after I make those selections, I need to position it. So I'm going to select the Position tab, go out to the screen, and then place it. After I place it, I am going to add a couple smart dimensions. And from the center to this edge, we'll put it to 6. And from this edge to the center, we'll do 6 again. We'll go back into Hole Wizard, and this time use a simple hole. And the standard is asymmetric. It's going to be a drill size, and the size we are looking for is a 3.5mm. I'm going to go out and position this one, place it on this face, and then once again, add a couple smart dimensions. We'll set this one to a distance of 4, and this one to a distance of 6. Looks good. Let's go ahead and close out of the Hole Wizard. And there we have the two features we were looking for. How do we get the same tab to this back corner? Well, the easiest way to do this is going to be with the mirror command. But before we do the mirror command, we are going to add this flange on this corner. And once this flange is completed, then we can mirror both of these flanges within the same mirror command. So let's work on this one next. Going back to the hem part, I'm going to zoom up on this corner, go back to my sheet metal ribbon, select edge flange, select the edge, pull it out. Let's modify the profile. And again, I'm going to move this off the screen so it's a bit easier to view what we have on the screen. I'm going to select this face here, view normal to it, and we're going to apply a couple smart dimensions. Let's make this 24 by 24. Using the S key, or going back to my ribbon, I want to add a couple slotted features. Using the S key, I'm going to click the drop-down list here, and I want to line this up with the center point. I am going to select center point straight slot. I'll wake up this line, place my first slotted feature, and then I'll create a second one. Now, before we start to add dimensions to these, I want to talk about the slotted feature. In my classroom, I have a lot of projects that do have slotted features in them. And it seems like early on that a lot of students forget we have a slotted feature option. I see students creating circles, tangent lines, and then trimming those unwanted lines away. So don't forget about that slotted feature. It's pretty handy. Something else people are not generally aware of, when we go to add relations, if we put a smart dimension in this radius, we can make this radius equal to this one. However, if I hold down the control key and select the slotted feature, and then select this one, notice one of my relations I can add is equal slots. I am always surprised about the number of people that are not aware of this relation. So I'm going to select equal slot. Close out of this, and now we're ready to add some smart dimensions. Let's make this radius 2. We'll make this line here 12. And it looks like we need to add a relation to center this. So I'm going to select midpoint, these 2 points here, and then select vertical. Now, I am done with my sketch, so I am going to pull this window back up on the screen. I want to go back to the property manager, so I'm going to select the back button. And I want this to be a 90-degree flange with the material to the inside. So everything looks good. I'm going to close out of this, and we have our next flange created. Let's put it back to an isometric view. Now we need to add 2 last location dimensions from the outer edge to the center line. We'll set this to 6 and this one to 12. Now we are ready to mirror those 2 flanges. So I'm going to expand this here. I'll want to try to use my primary planes to mirror about. So let's turn them on just to see where they're at. I'm going to go to my Features ribbon, select the Mirror button, and Mirror Face Plane. It looks like right plane would be the correct plane, so that's good. And the features to mirror, I'm going to expand my Feature Manager tree, and it begins with Edge Flange 3, so I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and then select Edge Flange 4 because we want it to include the hole wizards along with that last flange that we created. Click OK, and we mirrored the features. And this concludes part 1 of testing your skills.